I'm not a lawyer, so it's kind of hard for me to kind of get bogged down in the law. And I'm not going to play like one either. So the first thing I want you to think about is when you hear Patriot Act is that we changed the law and bureaucratic mindset to allow for the sharing of information. It's vital, and others will describe what that means. Secondly, there are such things as roving wiretaps. Now, by the way, anytime you hear the United States government talking about wiretap, a wiretap requires a court order. Nothing has changed, by the way. When we're talking about chasing down terrorists, we're talking about getting a court order before we do so. It's important for our fellow citizens to understand, when you think Patriot Act, constitutional guarantees are in place when it comes to doing what is necessary to protect our homeland, because we value the Constitution. So with court order, law enforcement officials can now use what's called roving wiretaps, which will prevent a terrorist from switching cell phones in order to get a message out to one of his buddies.
Are you going to order a leaks investigation into the disclosure of the NSA surveillance program? And why did you skip the basic safeguard of asking courts for permission for these intercepts? Why did you skip the basic safeguards of asking courts for permission for the intercepts?
We use FISA still. You're referring to the FISA court in your question. Of course we use FISAs. But FISAs is for long-term monitoring. What is needed in order to protect the American people is the ability to move quickly to detect. Now, having suggested this idea, I then obviously went to the question, is it legal to do so? I swore to uphold the laws. Do I have the legal authority to do this? And the answer is absolutely. As I mentioned in my remarks, the legal authority is derived from the Constitution, as well as the authorization of force by the United States Congress. But I appreciate it. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if you can tell us today, sir, what, if any, limits you believe there are or should be on the powers of a president during wartime? And if the global war on terror is going to last for decades, as has been forecast, does that mean that we're going to see, therefore, a more or less permanent expansion of the unchecked power of the executive in American society?
First of all, I disagree with your assertion of unchecked power. Hold on a second, please. There is the check of people being sworn to uphold the law, for starters. There is oversight. To say unchecked power basically is ascribing some kind of dictatorial position to the president, which I strongly reject.
I don't know why the president is concerned about the Patriot Act when he apparently believes that he can just do all this stuff by himself anyway. But the president has stated a doctrine that he can just make up the law and create whatever other powers he wants on his own. And I have been very involved in this issue over the weekend. I've seen the argument shift. First argument was that somehow we voted for this when we voted for the Afghanistan war, which I strongly supported. Nobody believes that that changed the basic criminal and Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act laws relating to wiretaps. Then they say it's somehow the inherent power of the president, which of course would mean we could all go home now, because apparently we don't have a role if the president can just make up these laws. And then they say, well, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act doesn't do the job. Well, that simply has not been demonstrated. That court virtually always gives a warrant. And if it's an urgent matter, as Senator Levin pointed out, they can start tapping right away for 72 hours, and they don't have to seek that warrant for 72 hours. There's every contingency provided for. The president does not have a leg to stand on legally with regard to this program. So we do need hearings on it, but we will not tolerate a president who believes that he is the sole decision maker when it comes to the policies that this country should have in the war against terror and the policies we should have to protect the rights of completely innocent Americans. If he feels there has to be a change in that procedure, he should come to us and we should debate it. And I would add, he should cease doing anything else he might be doing for which there's not legal authority that we don't know about. He is the president, not a king.